Hey, everybody. I'm Jill Renee Feeler here with Janet Eichhorst. Hi, Janet.
Hi, Jill.
So, this is number 37. Why do we say the number? Because both Janet and I love a little numerical reference in time to sort of plant the now and what we're doing. And it might be easier to find it. I feel like it also kind of centers us in some element of creation that's distinct from other things. Um, I do want to encourage everybody just to let your body relax, let your face relax. Just give yourself a nice deep breath. Relax your shoulders. Wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers. Put a smile on your face. There we go.
Mm. Mm.
Okay, good.
Mm.
I thought of something and I'm so used to doing monologues with so many other things that I'm like, how do I do this with the cohort, a partner, an ally here? Um, but I feel this rhetorical question for myself, and then maybe we invite you to ask a rhetorical question of yourself. My rhetorical question, which is not going to be rhetorical because I want to give an answer, is why am I grumpy sometimes when I talk about spiritual topics? And my answer is because I'm an idealist. And I feel like for anyone that takes something very seriously, that has very strong opinions about what they're looking for in terms of its attributes and qualities, there's a rubric in there with anybody that's idealistic about anything. And my rubric is really, really well honed somehow about being our light, and whatever that means to you in this reality. So I do get frustrated. I do get um, impatient with systems that don't deliver what people are saying they want,
Mm.
which is a closer connection to God, answers for how to better experience this reality, some sort of inner guidance system to feel like they're not flailing around like a flopping fish out of water. Um, I know all of that is possible. I'm living that all of that is possible. And I want that to be immediate and
Mm.
easy and accessible for everyone, literally. And I mean that in just I meant every word I just said right there. So there's a part of me going, you know what I mean? When something feels like it wouldn't be a system that would work for me, or wouldn't, I've seen the system not work for my clients and my community. So then we're like, okay, so it's like a workshop of light. And okay, what's another way we could do this then? What if this life event doesn't have to mean this suffering and that trauma and that lifelong never going to be okay again kind of sentiment that some people have? What if even in the midst of a horrible situation, you can feel as connected to God as ever, and maybe even more so? Let's be overachievers, right? So I do get frustrated. I do get grumpy about things. I know the reasons for it. And to me, it does work in a way. But
Mm.
I do notice that in this podcast series, sometimes my grumpiness is more at the surface. And I don't know why that is, but it's not my preference either. So I want it to be that part of my Jill that's just like, oh my God, I'm so happy we're here, because I
Mm.
get really like gooey in just my love, for this reality, even though it's not perfect, and love of myself and love of others. And I love when that's at the surface. But maybe somehow the way I've done the podcast at times, that's not at the front. But I would like it to be more at the front.
Mm. Fascinating.
Is it?
Quite literally. I What's fascinating about it, Jill and I are recording back-to-back episodes today, and so we just restart it, after the first one, and you see we're wearing the same things. So right when we started this one, I felt what you could call grumpiness and like a little almost let downness. And I thought, well, that's fascinating. I really do try to pay attention to these things, right? And then here we are, and you asked this rhetorical, non-rhetorical question. Why do I feel grumpy sometimes? And grumpiness is really just grumpiness in general can be there's so much in this. And I get the idealism. I don't know if I was thinking about it for myself when you were sharing. Like mine doesn't feel as compact of an answer as yours. Like you're like, it's idealism, right? And I think mine, I do have that level of idealism. And then I have probably more realism that overrides the idealism a lot of times, right? And it's kind of the messiness of planet Earth, right?
For the
And
fellow idealists, you just had some major truth bombs right there, and I completely agree, by the way. The best way to soften your idealism is by allowing realism, right? Because otherwise it's not gonna be a very fun ride. If
not gonna
fun is your goal.
yeah. Well, and seriously, I mean, I've got this joy that never turns off. It can be tampered or whatever. And we talked about this in the last podcast a little bit about joy and how it looks different for everybody. And, we don't need to compare them in terms of one's better than the other. It's all unique, and that's fabulous. And in terms of just like what grumpiness, I really love thinking about grumpiness in a way, and the realistic way of what's happening now for me. Like, I know what I'm shooting for, and that level of perfection is not what we do here. So, what is that? And so, like, as we started here, I just did a quick little, like, "Hang on a second, let me just see what's going on here." It's like it was almost as if I could just shift states simply, but not in a pretend override way. I was like, "Well, I don't feel as exuberant sometimes as I can. Sometimes
Mhm.
I'm just so full, it's like I can feel myself radiating out, I can whew, and I don't feel that way right now. It's like, "Okay, well, that's cool. I don't really care about that." And I'm not gonna try to make myself feel that way, but I probably prefer that versus some of these other states, right? And so it's okay, so okay, so let me just adjust that. It's like, okay, adjust my expectation a little bit and just like, okay, so I feel this way. I can be here, you know? And then just to remind myself that I love this, what we're doing. I mean, I really love the opportunity to challenge and create anew in ways that are more satisfying. And so I don't want to give too much power to how I feel in the moment in doing something that I love, because I don't have to feel only this way to do this. That's completely unrealistic. And I'm gonna do it because it's really what I want to do. And then we start, and you're like, let's just take a breath. And I was like, oh, this is nice. And so I got a little floaty feel from that. Is it the best floaty feel I've ever had in my life? I don't know. I don't even care. I like the floaty feeling. It felt good because that's more of me available. even if I don't have that level of radiance or that I can have. And I think sometimes I have the radiance even when it doesn't feel the sensation I'm feeling inside doesn't equate to radiance in my mind. So that felt like a mind game, but true and true. I'm talking in circles, Jill.
Wait, you are? Is that what you said? I'm talking in
Yeah.
circles still?
Yeah, it felt the way I was working with the mind, I felt like I was, kinda talking in circles a little bit there, but it all made sense to my mind, so
That's good.
yeah.
Ah,
Mm.
mm,
Wow, and then I tap in a little bit more and I can feel a little bit of tension in my hips, and I thought, "Oh, okay."
mhm.
It's like, "Oh, that's sometimes a little bit of it," right? When my body's just, doing what it's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm. Wow. Mm.
There is such a thrill I get for finding new people to play with,
Mm.
in a way of soulfulness that allows for it versus, like, forcing it or,
Mm.
um, overthinking it, making it too hard, thinking you can't get there immediately or thinking that you're not that, you know what I mean? There's just a and it does make me wonder sometimes if it is possible for anyone here. It's not about ability. It's and we've said this before, and I don't want this to sound cliche, but the opportunity to kind of get out of our own way with whatever that means, beliefs, thoughts, false expectations, that you are anything but the light of God that you are, and that your humanness is not an instrument of the light that you are, right? My some of my in a way my most joyful experiences with my metaphysical um, aspects of my life are those that it's not about idealizing that. It's not you just they're just allowing the light that they are, and like, oh, we can just enjoy it, we can just be this and do whatever, talk, play, go for a walk, goes for a swim. I mean, any just sit and just enjoy great food, make a meal, go out to a meal, whatever. The effortlessness of allowing the source energy you are is, in my experience and in my opinion, a very different way of
Mm.
being a spiritual person on earth.
Mhm.
I love that so much that I do hope that comes through in every podcast we've done.
Mm.
That that's an option and that you may want to try that option. And those that already use that option, you can try other options too. There's so many ways to be the light we are in this reality. And I'm constantly enthused by the range of those options. And yeah, it's cool. That's just cool.
I mean, even in that pause before you started speaking, what I was feeling was that what you just described, where I don't wanna make stuff happen, and that pause, the sensation I had was, especially in my mind, letting some of the ideas about it had a flavor of making things happen or being a certain way, or and I just felt that in my mind. It's like, "No, just kinda let all that fall away more,"
Yeah.
where it gets rid of expectations, doing, form, and that really those pauses allow for new experiences.
Hmm.
Because when you were sharing about how much you love new playmates, and I thought, oh, is Jill flipping the playmate that I'm playing with right now?
Mm.
And that's what I was feeling in that pause. It's like, let's just let that go and see what's here now. And then do it again in another breath. Let that go and let's see what's here now. And that gets undervalued a lot of times in our society because we've got so much to do or so much that we think we should do. And I want to let as much of that go as I can
Mm.
because it's based on something that's not applicable anymore
Mm.
to a level of really enjoyment of life and a level of just being here and
Mm.
keeping it simple. Even if there's a lot of moving parts, there's still a level of simplicity to it
Yeah.
because it's kind of like that power over force of how I use will,
Yeah.
where the will, all the will of all of me can be aligned, which is a completely different experience. And the possibilities in that are where we get to recreate anew.
Bingo. Right? When you were talking about letting go,
Mm,
my favorite way of letting go is to let something be,
mm,
including in myself.
mm,
Before we started recording the other podcast, I
mm,
owned with you personally, and I owned at the beginning of the recording, feeling really tired today. I let it be.
mm,
That part of me is tired today. I let it be,
mm,
and that allowed me to let it go because I'm not trying to change it. I'm not trying to, you know, it just, it's not the only thing going on in my me, as I hope has come through uh, in in this recording and the previous recording, but it's part of what's going on, and I think it is a good example.
mm,
Um, and I really welcome that part of us, Janet. That
mm,
I love that in the series we're not shying away from the fact that we have mastery and expertise to offer others.
mm,
And it's not in a condescending way. It's, hey, come and play with us because you've got mastery and expertise too. And you can lead with that. You can also just let it totally be and just also enjoy like this ride, this very strange, surreal experience of being a human on earth. Right? I don't want to be a slave to my mastery. I want to occupy my mastery and allow it to be, but not have it be a job that I'm in service to. Right? Uh, yeah. So, anyway, I could go on in a tangent, but I don't need to. You go ahead.
I I love that about occupying or mastery and what that looks like. Like, what does that look like when I occupy my mastery versus
Yeah.
if I'm not occupying, in contrast.
Yeah.
And that is a really cool thing. And, with I've seen this lately and experienced this. Exhaustion has become a structure here,
Mm.
and it's become a thing versus an experience.
Hmm.
And I don't want exhaustion to be a thing.
Mm.
And I just scheduled a trip to Europe in September. And what was interesting is when I've scheduled trips where there's a significant time zone difference, I've looked at it differently. It's not a thing for this trip for me.
Mm.
I did honor that layovers in airports that I'm not familiar with the length of the layover, my human cares about that because my
Mhm.
human gets agitated. Some people, that doesn't bother them at all. But for me, I recognize that it's better because I get when I travel sometimes the most simple things about, like, what line you go to, especially if English is not the first language in the country, you know, I sometimes was like, "Wait, what?" And I get a little confused, and I don't wanna rush that in my human, and I know that this construct of exhaustion that a lot of people have talked about and be like, "Oh, I'm this," and it almost becomes like an excuse not to live, and that's not okay for me. It's not okay, and it doesn't mean I don't honor my body and pay attention because the love that I have for this body and, me in general, if I really wanna have a ripple effect on all of creation, that's a really great way to do it. Live that and let that ripple be big, like, just take a great big old cannonball in the deep end, right? And just,
Mhm.
like, let her rip, so to be passionate about that really does matter. But I don't like it when there's this, whether it's astrological, whatever, or and I even feel that way a little bit, not a lot, but I kind of pay attention to this because I do think we are changing very quickly, and the kind of speed that we can change in a nonlinear way is bigger than it's ever been in my experience. And I don't want that to sound like a broken record because I say that every time, pretty much in one way, shape, or form. And it's still true for me.
My favorite words of how you say that, by the way, are "there's a lot going on." And I love it because it's always real. It's always authentic when you say it. "There's a lot going on." And
There really
"There's a lot going on."
Oh, goodness. And as you
I love
say
it.
that, oh, like that stillness that we took earlier,
Yeah.
when I look at the external, that kinda counterbalances
Mm.
the external a little bit, right? Like, if it's and it's important, like there is a thing of holding this reality together seemingly, like, that's
Totally.
literally what it feels like, it's like, "Oh,
Yes.
that's part of my presence here is I'm here to." So
I love it. For anyone in for any reason, whatever's motivating you to be here right now,
yeah, yeah.
if you are the type that you have some moments that you don't like, where it's like nothing is going on, Janet is for you. Because it's like the perfect reminder that the idea that nothing is going on, is
Yeah,
so not true.
yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
it is interesting, the little software go running in that system of there is nothing it's like a kid that says there's nothing to do, and
yeah,
I don't know if I said that as a kid, I don't feel the need to explore my inner child with this right now, but
yeah,
whenever I hear anyone say there is nothing going on or a child or an adult, there's nothing to do, and I'm just looking at them like, "Wow." Because my whole system is something to do. I mean,
yeah,
I could just stare at the ladybug that was crawling in my window before, and I mean, the whole thing is just like nothing going on. Like I can see 10,000 things going on right now that could entertain me.
It's funny you bring that up about childhood, and I have had so many moments in the last, we'll just say, week. I don't even know if that's how accurate that is, but because I'm so nonlinear a lot of times, but where I'll be, "Oh, I'm in one of those boredom moments," and I'm excited about it.
True. But even that is something going on.
It is, and the reason I get excited about it is because that's where the recreation moment is.
Mhm. Yes.
And that it's
It's
happened
exciting.
so frequently. It's sort of, I mean, it's amusing me on one level.
Yes.
And then there's the part of me that gets to experience that boredom, and I was like, "Wow." Was I,
Yes.
like, "Wow, that's interesting." And then there's that pulse that comes out of that.
I wish I had a whiteboard I could put up. I'm gonna, because I have a visual
Oh,
from our professional business days, Janet.
yeah,
On the
yeah.
x-axis is nothing is going on, and
Yeah,
there's a lot going on the
yeah.
other end of the x-axis, and then the y-axis is discontentment or high contentment.
Uh-huh,
Right? So you can be in the nothing's going on, low content, low
uh-huh.
contentment. In other words, you could say unhappiness, unsatisfied. And you could be nothing's going on and I love it, high contentment. And then you could be on there's a lot going on, low contentment. And you could be there's a lot going on, high contentment. This is a good little matrix I got going on here, 2D, little 2D matrix. But I love that because as you were sharing, I was thinking there are times when there's a part of me experiencing that maybe it's not nothing is going on, but it doesn't feel like a lot is going on. And I have high contentment. And then there's other times I'm like, there is a lot going on. And it's like, I could do with a little less, please. So I have lesser contentment. It's like, okay, drinking from the fire hose kind of experience. So I kind of like that matrix because I do, for me, it is quite a powerful and useful lens for where I'm at. Because as you were describing those moments of it, kind of feels like really not much is going on. Oh, I have experience, I have moments of being so highly content with how, like, I'm experiencing less going on and I love this, right? Yeah. And definitely there are, and I'm probably in one experience that right now is my Jill of there is a lot going on and it actually doesn't feel as content for me. The too much to do kinds of things. And I always get through it and it's fine, you know what I mean? But I much prefer as I'm feeling more like, "Ooh, I like how everything is feeling right now." I prefer that feeling.
Mm. There's
Do
kind
you
of a
like
sim
did you like the 2D matrix,
I
Janet?
do. I like it.
Such a nerd.
Because there's a when I can identify where I am on that spectrum, that 2D spectrum, it helps.
Where am
I mean,
I?
it really does.
Yeah.
There's another concept that kind of is relating to this, and I've used this expression lately, and I was like, wow, that's kind of an odd expression, but it seems true, so I'm just going to use it when it comes up, right? And it's a busy stillness.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, just feel like there's stillness.
Mhm.
And then when I feel into it more, I was like, wow, that's the busiest stillness I've felt in a very long time.
I love stillness. I really do. Um, yeah, I don't want to interrupt you. You go ahead. I like this.
Yeah, so it's almost it kind of messes with the mind a little bit in a good way. And it almost you could we're back to that alchemy,
Mm-hmm.
things rearranging, um, sort of state too.
Yeah.
Because when my level of awareness is in that stillness, I want to say so deeply, it's not that I'm even thinking, but my awareness kind of is so micro that I can feel the rearranging of reality in it.
Hmm.
And that again kind of counterbalances a level of extreme happenings in the outer world.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you look at any sort of news media outlet and there's so many things that are happening there, it's kind of like it's the same but different. Like this is this. There's so much happening in this moment where things are rearranging, and this is what it's looking like in the external, so to speak. And it makes a heck of a lot more sense than having my human me run around getting upset about A, B, C, or D. I much prefer to sit in that state until I really know that an action is really helpful.
Yeah. I'm just this is very much self-deprecating humor. There's because I'm fine being upset with things, but I don't want to do it running around. So I just love it. No, if you want to be still and be
Yeah.
upset about what's going on, that might be better.
Yeah.
And some people are like, no, I don't want to be upset. Then I don't want you to be upset either. But if you find being upset in any way productive, then I recommend doing it in a still manner
Yes.
versus running around manner. So,
It's kind of interesting because it's, like, how do I want to kind of participate in our world right now? And what choices
yeah,
do I make around that?
yeah,
That's a very real question right now,
yes, yeah, very much so.
and how I use my currency and my energy and my focus.
Hmm.
That's a big fat choice.
Yes. Because we're creating our own personal experience amidst this reality. And that opportunity to take that role seriously, there's a lot of empowerment there. And there's huge um, on ramps to self love and loving of others amidst that opportunity.
And I just got the vision of I can have moments where in the past I would have reacted to it because, like, that's not right. Like I'm not unfamiliar with that. Right. And now that's not helpful for me.
Mm.
It's helpful because, and why isn't it? Because I'm literally leaving myself. That was
Mm.
purposeful.
Hmm.
And uh-uh. Anytime I feel myself pulling out of myself, I was like, whoa, where are those reins? You know, I never want to leave myself. And that's a very deeply rooted pattern for many of us. And sometimes it goes so deep that there's a level of unconsciousness around it.
Right. There's a part of me that wants to maybe to slightly debate this, but can you leave yourself? And I would love to hear your answer to that because I know that your expertise is going to shine right here that is
Yes.
different than mine. So my I guess my question, and it's not rhetorical, is but can you leave yourself?
No, it's all an illusion. But that's how I'm acting.
Mm. Acting in an illusory way as if you're leaving yourself, which means what?
Mhm. We're going to give this one a moment.
Yeah. I
One
take your
moment,
time because
please.
I know it's going to be awesome. So take whatever you need.
Wow. Oh, this is such how in the creational sense the big video game we've been playing here. We pretend we're not God is what it comes down to.
Mm,
Pretend we're not source, right? And that's part of what this is inviting each of us to see where we're doing that.
I agree with you. And for me, and this may not be everybody, I had to redefine what that meant because I had an expectation of if I'm source and everybody's source, my interpretation initially was That would have to mean I can control everything here. That would have to mean there is nobody driving faster than they should be in the parking lot where I'm just trying to get to the dry cleaners, and he's zooming around like it's, Mario Kart racetrack or something. Like, it's a parking lot, dude. Chill out. There's chilling around. There's children around. Um, so I had to reset that and go, oh, I don't believe that's true. That's not my software that's not software I can run. And I didn't want to do that. Well, they're me and I'm them. And if I heal the part of me that's driving too fast in the parking lot, then
Mhm,
they won't drive fast in the parking lot. That
mhm,
software also didn't fit me.
mm,
So I wanted to do it as, what do I want to be as the source energy I am?
mm,
Well, this other human in this weird little example is driving literally and figuratively too fast in a parking lot. What do I want to be?
mhm,
Do I want to let it ruin my day? Do I want to, like, oh, I'm going to tell him? You know what I mean? And there's all these choices. So I feel my source energy in those choices.
mhm,
And I know my source energy is there no matter what choice I make. Even if I do lose my shit, my software is that my source energy didn't leave and then go, well, I can't be in this. She's mad at a guy in a parking lot. That's not very high vibe, you know. My source energy is like, oh, getting upset today, right? And my source energy is also there when I'm like, wow, that is dangerous. I might give him a look. I might watch him in the parking lot just to make a little bit of this, you know what I mean? Or I might just get safely into a parking spot and go into the dry cleaners and be pleasant as ever and say, thank you. I hope you have a great day, and get back in my car and get home safely.
mhm.
Did
Yeah.
you have to do any resets like that? Did you ever go through a part of your spiritual experiencing where you had to reset an expectation that didn't work in terms of we're all source energy?
All the time, and I do it in ways that explore all the aspects of it. And what it feels like to me a lot of times is, excuse me, the lens that I'm looking through.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I'm at the human level of consciousness, I'm not with myself, right? Because I feel like I've stepped out. And then there's another part of myself that I'm much better at and I'm developing where that other part is there here too, where I know I'm source and cannot be. It's
Mm.
really a multidimensional experience, and that phrase has been so kind of overused, I don't even like to use it anymore, but it's really true. It's multiple things are happening at the
Yeah.
same time.
And you said it fast. So I think I heard you say, I am my source and I can't not be.
Correct.
Is that correct? And I just wanted to make sure everybody heard that. I agree with that. That belief system, that software works really well for me too. I do highly recommend it for people to consider it, that you can't not be the source energy,
You can't not be.
including in the stupid example, the guy driving in the parking lot too fast.
Exactly.
He's not his source energy.
Yeah, that's right. And the way it's being used is this way in that moment,
Operated. Yeah.
operated. And the same thing is true when it looks like I'm leaving myself.
Mhm.
It's an experience here that we're doing, right?
Yeah.
And how I wanna navigate that when I get to have that I am source and can't not be active, that just is active more consciously.
Yeah. I'm bummed to hear that that might be overused. And I believe you that phrase might be overused. My perception was that that's still a very rare thing for people to consider or use as their software.
So it depends what group you're talking about,
Oh,
but
yeah,
in
that's
the
true.
in the in the spiritual healing community,
Mhm.
a lot of people will hear multidimensional and they turn themselves off. They're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, I know what that is." and kind of go, you know,
But saying multidimensional to me isn't the same thing as saying I am my source and I can't not be.
no, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. It's just that I can experience multiple things at the same time, and
Yeah.
that
We
literally
are
gets
multiple things at the same time. Yeah.
we are. I mean, it gets
Yeah.
rid of the there is no time, right? It's an experience of
Mhm.
timelessness, which is very real here and
Mm.
very possible, and I'm spending so much more time there
That's funny.
that it's fascinating because it does allow for more bandwidth and more experience here.
Yes. Yeah. It allows so much more access to source energy.
It
Yeah.
does. And
Yeah.
it
And yeah, go ahead.
yeah, and I'll share my latest, yeah, I'm gonna share it anyway. I can see reasons why. Well, don't share it because of blah, 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 blah. It's like, whatever. I'm gonna share it because I want to.
Yeah.
Um, the lodge at the north rim of the Grand Canyon
Okay.
burned.
Oh, I think I saw that somewhere in a news situation.
That upset my human and still does.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
That to me is like sacred territory,
Oh,
and I
darn
feel
it.
like it got effed with, and I don't
Okay.
like that,
Oh, wow. Okay.
you know? So I interpreted that as a sort of personally, right? And so I've
And there
gotten to
clearly is some sort of human personal, soulful personal connection that you have with that lodge at the North Rim.
the whole north rim of the Grand Canyon when I was there. I've only been there, is that true? Twice. I've been there
Okay.
twice. And it was I don't know. Gracie and I went up one day and I'm standing out on this ridge and it's probably I'll say one of the strongest experiences of feeling like I'm home in a very dimensional sense. When I looked at on the whole expanse of the whole view of the canyon from
Mhm.
this lens, it was extraordinary. And I have immense gratitude for that.
That's awesome.
Right? And so the lodge in that area burned, which is probably why my human took it personally, right?
Mm,
And so I'm not denying that. And it has, so I kind of go a little deeper with that, right? And it does feel like something outside of me has power, which it doesn't.
mm. I'd love to talk about that a little bit more because that's really big. Um, I'll offer another set of words for others if because I love what you just said. Your experience of being on the rim, the north rim of the Grand Canyon,
Mhm.
you allowed that vista, that panoramic wow, to help you feel more of the source energy, the transcendence that you are and that source energy is. My my logical rational part of me wants to say that's cool, but there were a whole bunch of other people that stood exactly where you did with human eyes and they saw what you saw and they didn't feel what you feel.
Yeah.
So is the magic in the vistas or in the lodge, or was at least part of the magic you, right? And that for me relates to what you were just saying, that the you part of it is a huge part of it,
Mhm.
right? And it brings it home. So there was something beautifully harmonious about that day or those energies or that geolocation for you as Janet, maybe even also you as your soul that was like, okay, this, like time stops. You feel like you're everything all at the same time, that you're everywhere and in all times all at the same time, and it's just surreal. It's like, and if there were a sound effect, it would be that, and the music just kind of, it grabs you like a hug from behind. You're like, oh. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
love
those
those.
kind of reinforce why I'm here,
Mm,
you know, the its possibility, its potential, its
yeah,
beauty, its magic. It's all of that wrapped up into that moment.
yeah,
And I didn't know that was gonna happen when I went there, right? It was
so
just
cool.
me innocently, exploring, and then I end up in the moment, right?
Mm,
So that lodge burning has nothing to do with that experience or who I am.
were you even in the lodge when you had that experience?
No, I was at one of the vistas.
That's cool. That's
Yeah,
another
it's
validation too, that yes, it's not, I'm not happy it burned down,
yeah,
but yeah.
and I think the point's called it's not Imperial Point, it's like Point of Imperial, it's like backwards, and it was what was interesting about it, that point, when you're driving up, there's all this kind of new growth because there was a fire there not that long ago, maybe
Mm,
10 years ago before I
okay.
was there. And so it had regrown, but you could tell that it was new growth, right? So you get up to the top of this vista, and here's all these old growth trees that were
Mm,
completely unaffected by the fire at this point. So it had even this like more, prominence of a magical experience for me, right?
okay.
So I do
Mm,
think this is a really great example of how my human connected things
mhm.
that aren't connected really, really.
Yeah. There's a there's a um there's a sweetness for me about how, as humans, it's so natural for us to root a transcendent experience in space and time, the location, the timing, our sense of who we were with or what we were going through in that moment, maybe in our lives. There's a sweetness to me in that rooting of it. And then when you play with those roots, kind of like when you are planting something, and it's already been seeded and already, like flowers or something, and you kind of get it out of the little pack and you kind of ruffle up, you kind of disturb the root system so that it has a higher chance of growing. Um, there's a reorientation of it, of like, okay, that vista was cool, and you were also cool with the vistas. There was a nice little, union there that happened, and you were a part of that magic, and you were a part of that. You were a huge part of that moment. Yeah. And to me, that doesn't take anything away from that landscape and the amazingness of that geography, right? It just adds to, in a way, why can't we add to it? Right? If you do want to um, personify, or not personify, what's that word when you apply a humanness? Oh, it's okay. I can't think of the right word. But anyway, if there was a consciousness, a sentience to that whole landscape, and if it was like, whoa, did everyone just feel that? What was that? Look at that woman on the North Vista, just literally radiating in place because of her looking at us. It's like, that's cool. Stand a little taller as my mountain, as my cliff, as my valley. You know what I mean? To me, it's fun to play that because
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like that, but I kind of love the idea that it's like that. That every time my dad and I, or the people I love, drive by this certain grove of aspens that's in this state park in the central Idaho mountains, that grove of aspens, when we go by it, and we stand in it, we're just like, oh yeah, and we just feel the upliftment, the buoyancy. Um, yeah, and Yeah. The floaties. I think you used the word floaties recently.
Yeah.
That I would say buoyance. It's just like I just feel the lightness, the buoyancy of my spirit in my Jill. Is it possible those Grove of Aspens are like they're coming? I feel them driving into the park right now.
Oh, yeah.
I
It
love that.
that's my experience, and
I love
there's
that.
literally when you just look at oxygen and CO2,
Mm,
when you talk about a symbiotic, co-creative experience here in our physical reality,
mm.
it goes very deep.
I think it's definitely true human to human, right? When we are literally radiating, if you will, our energy field in a way that is very buoyant and very just like, whew, yeah, I have that. I'm feeling pretty transcendent right now. It is palpable to other people.
Mm. I just had the thought, this is so thank you everybody for this, that I got to tell this story here about the North Rim and being upset about it, my human being upset about it, and my bigger self knowing that it's all incredible, the whole experience. The thought I just had was, why would my human want to deny that kind of phoenix experience of burning to the ashes to that building, so to speak, right?
Hmm.
Like, why does that not get to have the experience, that transcended experience in the physical? Like, that seems ridiculous to me. You did I mean, it's personifying the building, and I'm okay with that, right? Like, the timbers in that and the view of that and the people that have been there and loved it, there's definitely a energetic field there, right? And there's, kind of like, okay, now that one's done, and let's see what else is gonna happen
Mhm.
here. It's closed to the end of the year, and they actually close that range until May anyway because of the snow up there, the elevation. So the north rim of the Grand Canyon, the earliest it will be open now, is the spring.
Hmm.
And now there's another fire on the south rim, and I don't know what that one's doing, but I was like, well, this is fascinating. And there are some real energetics in the planet herself, in that canyon area. So it's really quite fascinating for somebody that does a lot of work with the planet, with Gaia,
Yes. Yeah.
to be present to all this. And so that's why it's kind of piqued my interest in a way. And I think the
Yeah.
helpfulness of this is to not allow any attachments or projections to limit that experience.
Or and let it be, let be whatever your responses are, and knowing that there's other responses, right? I don't identify as strongly as you do with
Mm,
the notion of grid worker and working with Gaia specifically and things like that. Um, and I can recall several times where when we've had fires in our area in the Pacific Northwest, and somebody's like, I drove the Oregon coast and I drove through that area, Jill, that burned last month. And I bawled like a baby the whole way. I was so sad. And I was like, did you want to be sad? And they just looked at me, got a little bit startled. And I said, what if another way of experiencing that is, I believe in you. I believe in all of the elements that are a part of this area and your ability to be something new again. And I love you and you're still here, right? So it's almost like letting it be the rising up from the ashes versus just the ashes. You know what I mean? And at first she was sort of irritated because I think she wanted to play that martyr role
mm,
because that can be very feel very empowered to some spiritual experiencers is how deeply you can feel sadness
mm,
for things like planetary change and other things. And again, I'm not asking someone, I'm not trying to put a label on that as good or bad. I'm just asking us to feel more permission in, do you want to feel that? Have you considered other choices about other ways to feel amidst those facts?
mhm.
I love the choices. And
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be one or the other.
yeah. Yeah, and I would add just a little bit of addition to what you said. It's like want to be sort of implies that I have some sort of control over it, and I have choice points around it, but it's not like ordering something off of Amazon. It's it's honoring the complete experience and looking at where my perceptions and my ideas, there's different choices in that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, thank you for saying that. It's not like ordering something on Amazon. I agree. It's that stillness again of, oh, I want to feel this. My friend's example, driving 2 hours in Southern Oregon, that's a long time.
Yeah.
And an 8 hour trip, that's a big chunk of it. To be sad, is there another way I can even recall the memory of it in a way that's that whole place is going to be like recreated in short order. You're going to be able to see the buds of green coming up. I like that part. I think that part's actually really exciting because so much of what we may appreciate in nature now at some point either wasn't there or was also ashes, or just it wasn't. It isn't. It took some time to get it to where it is now, and we can go, wow.
Mm.
Um, I don't know. There's something about the choices in there though.
There is, and the recreation within nature, the phoenix rising from the ashes, that's a built-in system, which we don't completely understand from our human lens, but that's a built-in system here.
Yeah.
And so to deny that doesn't seem helpful.
Yeah. I agree. It does, and from a rational logical perspective, it doesn't make sense either.
Yeah. And people
Yeah.
say, well, but it's overgrown because it's like, let's not go there. Let's really appreciate what's happening and make good choices about our perception and our perspective.
Yes.
And just appreciate the hell out of the fact that we're on planet Earth right now.
Yeah.
And love is here. It really is.
Yeah. And look for it inside yourself. If you're having a hard time finding it in the outer world, start looking at it more within your what do you love easily and without effort and without any doing. It's just there, your love for whatever that is. Could be your doggy, could be nature, could be a human, shocker, right? It could be let it be anything,
Yeah,
right?
I agree. Yeah. And I think those are some of the kind of reframe moments,
Hmm.
and I've been that way when I've just been like in despair and I look over and something catches my eye, whether it's a ladybug or one of the beautiful stones that's been with me for 25 plus years or 30 years
Yes,
and I was like, "Wow, look at that."
I know.
And then that childlike wonder can come back,
Yeah.
which is here. It's beautiful. I like how we're ending this one.
I do too. Yeah.
Feels really good.
Thanks, Janet, for all of this. Thanks for being you.
Mm,
And thank you, everybody, for joining us in this one. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so and maybe clicking that little alarm bell or however you're experiencing this to get notified of upcoming episodes that we create together and creating alongside you. Thank you for sharing it. Thank you for commenting. And we hope you had your own powerful or self loving or whatever else you wanted to experience today. I hope you got exactly that and maybe more.
yeah,
Thanks,
thanks,
everybody.
Jess.
Thanks again.
Thanks, Jill.